This is a huge win for the Democrats, a huge setback for the president.
In 2018, Michael Bloomberg spent more than $4 million on TV ads opposing Representative Dana Rohrabacher in California. Rohrabacher lost his 30-year congressional seat. What will happen this year?
I think it's going to be different.
In 2020, California is having a wave of Asian American Republican women running for congressional seats. What's their unique message to the voters?
Everything is common sense for me.
6 weeks from tomorrow is Election Day.
Ahead of the November elections, I interviewed Orange County Supervisor Michelle Steele, a South Korean immigrant running for Congress in California's 48th district. We discussed what's really at stake in this election season and if America is headed for socialism.
Communism is not working. They don't even know what socialist means, what communism means. I think that's the problem.
All right, thank you very much, Supervisor Steele, for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
This election cycle is a little bit different. I mean, this is a congressional seat, and I think the former Representative Dana Rohrabacher, he lost. He had a 30-year service, and he lost. And the media, according to the media report, it was because Michael Bloomberg dumped $4 million into this 48 district.
Actually, $4.5 million.
$4.5 million in the last 2 weeks, and totally flipped the things. And I mean, that was 2 years ago, 1 year ago. How do things look like for you right now?
You know what? I think it's going to be different. People used to call blue waves, but it was green waves. Monies were coming in against the Republican candidates. So you know what? It's going to be different. And Steyer, actually, who started working 2 years before that for the, congressional seats that tried to help. Now he's running for president too. So you know what? Most likely that how much I raise and how hard I work, I think it's going to make the difference.
Okay, so money-wise, you are raising more than your competitor, the incumbent?
I did. I actually, last report cycle, I outraised him.
So you are confident. How's your other aspects of your campaign, like groundwork and all that stuff? I think Democrats are very strong in those aspects, right?
Well, you know what? It's still 7.5 plus seat for Republicans in my district. So you really have to get all the Republicans, and you have to really go out and independent votes. So it looks really good because last September, NRCC did the polling, and I didn't even started my campaign except the raising money. It came in 42 dead even. So you know what? Means that my opponent is not that popular.
So in your district, I think independents, Republicans and Democrats are evenly split, right?
Almost like that, yeah. Yeah, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but Republicans 7.5 plus more than Democrats.
So independents are really important.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's your message to them? How can you win those people?
You know what? I think they are really tired of these partisan fights. So you know what? They want us to, when we get elected, that us to do the people's work. So you know what, you just go out there, and then I've been working because 48th congressional district, my supervisor district, 66% are overlapping congressional district. So you know what, I've been working with people. So you go out there and start working and communicate. I think it's totally winnable.
And you are running as a Republican candidate.
Yes.
And I think from your campaign website, one of the things you focus on is tax increase. You oppose any tax increase. I mean, I think obviously there needs to be a balance. If we don't pay any tax, government goes to bankrupt. If we pay 100% tax, then we cannot survive. So according to you, what is an ideal tax rate? And also, why are you opposing to any tax rate?
You know
tax
what?
Increase.
There's no such thing ideal tax rate. It depends on. But what I'm against tax increase means that for sales tax, for example, 1931, when under the Great Depression, that states started as an urgent matter. So they had a sunset date. They started from 2.5% sales tax in California. Now, a lot of cities are actually paying almost 10%, or some cities that you pay more than 10% sales tax. So what happened is all these governments that they have to stay under whatever they collect. But right now, that even in California, we have just so much surplus. Then you know what? You have to give those money back to the taxpayers. But instead of that, Democrats are like thinking about new taxes. So I'm against all the new taxes, and I'm against all the tax increases, because when you are earning $1,000 for your household, then how much are you supposed to spend? Less than $1,000. But government doesn't work like that, that they keep producing more work and bring more employees in. They are just serving for the residents, not just keep raising taxes and providing service is good for the certain group of the people, but you cannot really keep creating and raising more taxes, because it's a burden to taxpayers. And another thing is taxpayer can spend their money much wisely than government can do. That's why I'm against tax increases.
I know some tax increase is not reasonable, and but some other tax increase, for example, the roads are broken, and money needs to be collected to pay for to fix the roads. And in those scenarios, according to me, you are advocating, instead of raising tax, we do some other, we may be more effective and stuff instead of increasing tax. Is that what you're thinking? How do we pay for the broken roads?
If they raise taxes, they actually collect the taxes and they're gonna spend the way they promised they're gonna spend, then that's gonna be fine. In 2010, under Governor Schwarzenegger, there was Prop 30, that what happened was they had enough money to fix the roads, but instead of that, they swapped the taxes. So that big money supposed to fix the roads went straight into under the general fund, because they were spending the way too much under the general fund. So that's the reason that, we lost that. We lost that money to fix the road. But now that, I believe, I'm not really sure it's SB2 or SB1, they just passed another that taxes that, we're gonna collect this money and then we're gonna, fix the road. So, what happened is when they passed the bill to create taxes, they should not, because money was already there to begin with. And now that, they passed another bill to fix the road, then fix a road with that money. But if you are putting that money to general fund and do something else, then that promise is broken, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That the California state, the roads, that it's been already done, and it has to be done since 2010. And since they swapped the taxes, they couldn't do it. So they're always lying about it. How they're gonna spend it, and they're using some, for something else.
So you're saying it's not. This idea of increasing tax on anything is so evil. It's just that the state of California is not working.
Think about it. California, when you go try to fill up your cars, other states you pay what, $2.50 per gallon? We almost pay over $4 per gallon in California, because all these extra taxes on the top of it. So what we do, we have enough money to to fix the road. And then how about other stuffs too, that like a homeless issue and others. And we are not doing it, but Governor wants to, actually Governor Brown before Newsom, that try to build the high-speed rail on in California. It doesn't really work. I was raised in Japan. It worked in Japan because you step outside of your house, there's a bus station, and then you can just go straight to the Shinkansen, that's a bullet train, and then you take it. It takes really, I mean, it's really fast and it's very convenient. Here, you have to drive 1 hour to the station, and then actually it's not even high-speed rail because certain area it's very slow that they couldn't, really, make high speed there. So it takes forever to go to San Francisco. Instead of that, we have great airline called Southwest, go up and down from north to south, south to north. So you know what? People really have to think about it. And the water issue in California too. Instead of that, why don't we build a dam to gather the water? And I mean, I can start talking about it. There's just fresh water goes out, and in Northern California, it just goes straight to the ocean. Try to save some like a smelt fish that small fish, they try to save it. Instead of that, why don't we just save that water and then give it out to the people? Because since this California was built on the desert, so you really have to think about the big picture, not try to stop for one kind of fish that tried to save it, so water was thrown out, or something like a high-speed rail that we really have to build that. Instead of that, that we build some infrastructures. So you really have to think about what's better for Californians, but it seems like they have their own agenda.
A lot of these things are just common sense, right? If you have common sense, it doesn't matter you're Republican or Democrat. There's a common sense way of doing things, and the state of California is not doing that.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. But you see how America is heading right now. What do you say to those people who are for socialism, for equal share and stuff like that? It's seemingly it's getting more and more popular in this country. What do you say to those people? Is that a good system?
You know what? I didn't come from a communist country. My both parents actually fled from North Korea during the Korean War. So they came to South and tried to avoid the communism. And then they met at, both of them met at Busan. So that's the way they got married. So I know that, I've been hearing about my parents, they were talking about like a little communism that they experienced. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Japan, it was really interesting experiences that, I saw, mm-hmm. because on TV that, you can see North Korea was actually advertising that we are the paradise. You sell everything, come to our country, we're gonna accept you and you're gonna live in the paradise. Mm. Actually, a lot of people went for it. Mm-hmm. So they go, and then they come back within couple of years later. Of course, not the whole family can come back because they're gonna come back totally, permanently to Japan, right?
Never go back again. Never
right,
go back to North
exactly.
Korea.
So they always had a couple of hostages left behind in North Korea. They come and they, get interviewed, but you can see their facial expressions and the way they're wearing clothes. They were not happy. Mm. You can see that communism is not working. And then you can see right now North Korea, like, people are starving to death, and then their leader is so fat. I mean, he's the one, and only few people benefited all that money. So communism is not really working. And then socialism, we really have to look at Venezuela right now. Mm. Think about what's going on. Mm. These kids, or people, young people, they never really experienced that. They don't even know what socialist means, what communism means. Mm-hmm. I think that's the problem. Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me you approach this from a common sense angle. You talked about how you grew up and you work hard, and do you think if you work hard, you should make more money? If you don't work hard, you don't deserve to make that much money?
Exactly, because people said that free tuitions, it's your choice to go to college. Why other people have to pay for the free tuition? Because you choose a state school. It's much cheaper. Mm-hmm. You can go to city college and then you can move up. I mean, a lot of choice that you can
Well,
make.
If they say I'm not on this equal starting point because I'm poor, I didn't get equal opportunities. My education may not be as good, so I should get more support to go to colleges and stuff. And then if I'm poor, maybe I should get more money just to make sure that I have an equal starting point with everybody else. Isn't that a...
You know what, Simone? I, as a first-generation immigrant, I didn't speak English at all. As you can hear my accent too, right? And then I didn't have anything. I worked full-time. I told you I worked 7 days a week, and then I went to school full-time. So you work and you actually work and go to school at the same time, and you make money. This is America. You know what? You work hard, you make money, and you can be successful. Think about that. These people that they're complaining, they speak perfect English, not like my English with an accent, and they're just keep complaining. I think they have the way too much.
So back then you didn't think you deserved, because you didn't speak perfect English, you deserve more support, you deserve more financial support and other support?
Not at all, because I earned it. I worked hard, and I didn't sleep much. And you work hard, then you know what? It pays off. So that's the way I came. I never really think about that, I'm gonna get some free money from somebody or free money from the government. Of course not. This country gives you opportunity to work hard, then guess what? You can just move up. I mean, think about it. First generation, I did it. I think a lot of younger generations, they can do much better than I do.
So I know you are fighting for getting back those state tax deductions for the people in your district. And that's kind of against President Trump's tax cut policy. Tell me about that and why you're fighting for that.
Well, in California, that a lot, actually like in Nevada and some some states that they don't have state income taxes. So when you get tax cut from the federal government, it just is straight benefit to you. But in California, we are paying up to 13.3% state tax. It's very, very high. We used to deduct that from the federal income tax report when you did that. Now you cannot do it. So you know what? I think we really have to work hard, and with the leadership, Republican leadership, that we're going to make sure that we're going to bring that back, because we used to deduct, not anymore. So we have to come back. That we have to deduct those state taxes.
So those tax deductions are only only beneficial to high-income people?
No, actually, it's all good when you do the federal tax return, but it benefits a lot of people, not just the high income, but all the state, somebody who is working class, who makes money, yes, it's going to be deductible.
In other words, Trump's tax cut is kind of hurting the high-income people in California.
Well, I guess the high-income people always get hurt more, but it's hurting for all the class, that working class people. As long as you work, you cannot deduct any tax rate, state tax rate, then it hurts you.
So this year you were running against the incumbent congressman, although he's very new. He's only been in office for 1 year. What's your strategy? I mean, you said you don't speak perfect English. I don't think that's a problem. But what about other aspects of your campaign? How
you know what? I wanted the work done, because I, as a supervisor, I told you that 66% of my district overlaps 48 the congressional district. So I'm going to work the way I've been working. There are a lot of federal issues that we can go back to there for Medicare for all, and then building the wall. But at the same time, locally we have to do lots of work. This is always local governments, like county, city, state, and federal government. It's all partnerships that we have to work together. So I'm gonna just deliver whatever I have to do, and we're gonna work together. That we're gonna deliver these work to the people that it's been done. Because a lot of times that you really don't know the local issues and what people don't people want, then there's a problem.
You know, last year, I think a lot of the voters in your district took issue with Representative Dana Rohrabacher on climate change, because Rohrabacher said climate change is a hoax, and many people took issue with that. What is your stance on climate change?
You know what, climate change is actually happening, and we have to do something about it. But you know what, everything is with the common sense. You cannot close down shops, and you cannot close down businesses to do, prevent the climate change. That's not going to work. But we had a cap and trade in California. That's going to affect a lot of businesses. And we really cannot affect so many businesses that, to close down to prevent climate change. So you know what, everything is common sense for me. That you have to be reasonable, but you have to do something about it, because since 48th Congressional District is Seal Beach to all the way to Laguna Beach, think about that. We have to prevent those, the sands washed away, and we have to really prevent the beautiful houses. And we have a lot of tourism coming into Orange County, so we really have to, protect that.
So to be more specifically, how would you combat climate change if you think it's true?
Well, we really have to do that, not too much regulations, but voluntarily, that you really have to do. Think about that. In California, you cannot use straws, but they give you plastic spoons. So something is not really making any sense. And then,
so they gave you plastic spoons for straws. You can't use straw, but I give you a plastic spoon. Is that how it works?
Yeah. My husband loves frappuccinos, so Starbucks didn't give him plastic straws. Instead of that, they gave him plastic spoons at the airports. I was laughing so hard that something has to be common sense here, plastic spoons and straws. And not only that, I think most of these environmentally damaging thing is, I read about it, that, America is causing only less than 2%. It's mostly other third world countries. So you know what, we have to really work together to prevent this. But I don't know exactly how detailed we're gonna go, and when I get to the Congress, and we're gonna work together.
So how confident are you in this election cycle that you'll be successful?
I am very confident. I'm a housewife, I'm mom, and I'm wife, and I came first generation, and I know that
you have made so far very successfully.
I
and you think
so.
This
and I became grandmother last July, and you know what?
I cannot believe it.
And my second one got married last September, and
congratulations.
You know what? Thank you. You know what? It's a winnable district, and you go out, communicate with the residents and communicate with your constituents, and you find out what they really need, and then you work together. That's the way I got elected in 2014 in Orange County, and you know what? I can do it again.
So you think in America, in your district, common sense can still win? It doesn't really matter like you're ideologically this and that, but you think common sense is the most important?
But isn't that common sense has to be applied everywhere though? Like too much taxes, too less taxes. Or too much environmental regulation, too less environmental regulations, and you have just you put your nose, government put their nose in too much to the businesses, too less to the businesses. Everything is common sense. You raise your kids, you learn so much about those, right? And you cannot really restrict them so much to just make them free so much, right?
Right.
Certain boundaries that you have to build, that's all by the common senses.
Last batch of questions regarding Kim Jong-un.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What do you think of him? Do you think he is, President Trump is trying to talk with him, and I think he's trying to crack him, to make a crack in him, because maybe President Trump doesn't see him as a born dictator like his father and his grandfather. Do you think President Trump is taking him correctly?
You know what? I like what President Trump did for the sanctions. And you know what? It's very tough on them because they are very poor. North Korea is a very poor country. But give them, like, sit down with the President Trump and, give them the way too much credit. As is, his head is so big, and, that made bigger. So now that...
Do you mean physically or?
No, well, physically his head is big too. But you can see that.
Okay.
But you know what? He's not a leader.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he's a kid? He's a dictator?
He's a punk. That's the way I think. Mm-hmm. He killed his own brother. Mm-hmm. He killed his own uncle. He killed his own people. I mean, and everybody's starving. And you know what? He's spending that money like his own. Mm. Only problem is his own North Korean people that, when you don't know what is freedom means, you don't know. So that's the really, hard part. But I think, you know what? He's not a leader. He's just nothing. He tried to show off with nuclear weapons that, I have the power. So I don't think he's going to give up. But, at the same time, mm-hmm. President Moon, South Korean, president, is not really helping either. Because we started under President Kim Dae-jung's sunshine policy, right? If we didn't give them that much, I think North Korea already collapsed. Mm-hmm. But right now that that sunshine policy, it seems like President Moon is giving more than under the sunshine policy. Mm-hmm. So it's really scary that let them collapse. Let him collapse his own government. But right now that you are just pouring money into North Korea from South Korea government. And then South Korean president has to know whose friends and whose enemies are.
Right.
But it seems like he's really confused at this point.
From the U.S. point of view, before they collapsed, do you think they will use the nuclear weapon to make as much, as big of a damage as possible?
You know what? He's not a rational person, so who knows what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. It's scary.
What should the U.S. do if he's not rational?
Just stick with that sanctions, stick mm-hmm. with it, and just, what are you going to do with North Korea? I mean, what are you going to do with Kim Jong-un? No matter how you move, mm-hmm. nothing's going to really help. He tried to get more credit. That's all he does. He tried to show off that, how great leader he is. He's not. So,
bottom line is, you don't think President Trump, by being a good friend to him, can pull him to the free world, to that side?
I don't think that's really possible, though.
Okay.
He actually, when President Trump met him for a couple of times, that showed that he stopped shooting all these missiles. So as long as he doesn't shoot those missiles, but I don't know how much, we not just me, but everybody don't know that how much he has capability of that, how long, how these missiles go how far. But most dangerous thing is, South Korea and Japan, actually. Mm-hmm. So we have to protect South Korea and Japan, but right now South Korean government is not really protecting themselves. So that's another thing. Mm-hmm. So President Trump, I think, stick with the sanction. It's going to be good enough right now, mm-hmm. as of now.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much, Supervisor Steele.
Thank you.
Thank you.